Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. It's a Wednesday night. It's the practice report brought to you by Byers Auto. Ohio State just a couple days away from hosting Miami of Ohio, the last non-conference tune-up before Big Ten play. And gosh, you can just feel the energy in here, Tim, can't you?
You can. You feel the anticipation. That's what I'm feeling.
All right, that's Tim May. This is Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. Guys, it's been another, I don't know, this one's been maybe the quietest week so far. I'm not sure that there's been a whole lot to learn about these Buckeyes because, they've cruised through 3 weeks. They're a huge 40-point favorite, I think, now, maybe on some books. This is going to be one of those games you just get through.
They've ever been. I mean, I'm trying to think of when they were bigger, or maybe against Florida A&M or something like that. But this is outlandish, actually.
I think it's a little bit of a sign that, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong here. The polls haven't changed. Ohio State's still sitting at number 6, but I feel like there's sort of a change in perception with this team from week one, that people were holding out about Justin Fields, and Ryan Day was a first-year head coach and didn't know if the defense was going to actually turn around. But I just have this sense that the coverage has changed, that people are starting to believe around the country that this team is legit.
Yeah, not only that, everybody's remembering last week, they were 18-point favorite in the final analysis, and they won by 41. So I can see the 40-point difference between them and Miami of Ohio, which took a lead on Cincinnati the other day, and then they didn't fold the tent, but the tent got run over by the Stampede, and it was, they had nothing for Cincinnati in the second half. But I understand the differential there. But as you well know, in Birminology, you know this. I mean, they want to get this game in hand so they can rest some guys and not put guys in jeopardy, because big tests are coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting if you just watch, and to your point, I think that we've sort of seen this turning of the tide, that basically there's 6 teams right now throughout the country that everybody thinks are the good teams in the country, and everyone else is just mediocre, right? Ohio State is now in that top 6 team discussion, and I think when you have the 3 SEC teams and then Georgia, and then Oklahoma and Clemson and Ohio State, everyone else is pretty much just okay. I think it's interesting. I haven't heard in the 2 days that we've been here this week, has anybody mentioned the word Miami of Ohio?
Well, we've tried.
It's one of those games where you want to say, well, don't overlook any opponent. But we're overlooking opponents, and that's fine, because Ohio State goes to Nebraska a week from now, and what Tim just said is incredibly important. They have to get to that game with nobody else missing time, get some guys back. C.J. Saunders was back on the field tonight, it looked like, practicing. Maybe he's back for Nebraska. Jonathan Cooper should be back. We still don't know what's up with Tyreek Smith, but I think the key this weekend is get out of Ohio Stadium healthy with a easy, comfortable win, and then turn the focus entirely to the Big Ten.
Yeah, just think if they ever had two defensive ends who could play from one week to the next. I'm talking about Chase Young has been playing every snap he can, but the other side has been just a revolving door, and yet they're still. I mean, we're talking about this defense the way it's going, it could be one of those historic defenses the other way for Ohio State, whereas last year's was the historic defense way over there. So, I'm just curious to see where this defense is going to go, because I don't think it's playing its best ball yet.
Well, that's an interesting sort of, dilemma is maybe not the right word, Tim, but you don't have Jonathan Cooper. Tyreek Smith misses the whole second half at Indiana. Javonte Jean-Baptiste is out there, gets his first career sack. Zach Harrison goes out there, looks like a 5-star, gets his first career sack. Tyler Friday, first sack of this season, second career sack, but another guy who's sort of being thrown into a much larger role. And I thought in week one there actually was a drop-off when you got down to 4, 5, 6 on the defensive end line.
You weren't imagining it.
But those guys are growing up so quickly, and that's got to be scary if you're the rest of the Big Ten, because that doesn't just help the depth this year of a national title contender, but there's no slowing down for Larry Johnson and the Rushmen.
I mean, we talked about this the other day. Indiana's only shot was to score points. Seriously, because Ohio State was going to score.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, score buku points.
They weren't going to slow them down.
Yeah, and we've seen Indiana score buku points on these guys in the last few years. But, when you take that out of, we saw what you could expect when you've got a defense playing at the level this defense is. I mean, the speed they're playing with. I mean, Chase Young coming off the edge, Devon Hamilton up the gut. The way Pete Werner is firing on the edges, it's crazy how much better that guy is compared to this time a year ago. And Jeffrey Okudah, he's his own highlight reel right now. And if he ever gets an interception, look out. And Damon Arnett, all he does is jump into the history books on Saturday. And I don't know if y'all agree. Maybe you do, Birminology. He's a much different player than he was a year ago.
defense is all about confidence in this team. And to me, I think back to the Indiana game, looking back at that, when I rewatched it, the first drive of the game for Indiana, Chase Young dropped into coverage and sniffed out a screen, a little bubble screen, and just totally eliminated a player who thought that they were going to have a couple, 4 or 5 yard gain, and he ends up losing 2. And it's at that moment when you have a 6'5", 275-pound defensive end guarding a wide receiver, and it's a mismatch.
Yeah.
You have a really special group of athletic talents, and the Buckeyes have that. And I think that, as you mentioned, they're just starting to figure out who they all are. And Damon Arnett is a player that has had 3 cornerbacks coaches in the last 3 years. It's hard for these guys to figure out exactly who they are when there's no consistency. And I think that we've seen Jeff Hafley and Matt Barnes and Greg Madison come in and really just allow them to do what they do best. And for a guy like Damon Arnett, even though he's not healthy right now, playing with the cast on his hand, he's made play after play in these first 3 weeks.
Imagine Damon Arnett. He was pretty much done. I mean, he was gone.
He was completely out the door.
And was headed to the NFL.
He was coming back to pick up his dog. That's
exactly.
He flew from the Rose Bowl to Dallas to pick out an apartment to live at so that he could train for the NFL draft.
And now he's being coached by an NFL coach. I mean, and he's
playing like an NFL
he's sopping
quarterback.
up like cornbread, in turnip green corn. My favorite dish, by the way, turnip greens and cornbread. I mean, he is sopping, and you can see him playing with just on another level.
Right.
And man, Josh Proctor, man, he had his hand on a couple of balls. We'll see what happens.
Well, he didn't.
One hit him in
One
the face mask. You're exactly right.
Interesting note here, Tim, just to your point there on the practice report brought to you by Byers Auto. One of the last guys on the field, solo over there. I just catch him out of the corner of my eye on the jugs machine. Josh Proctor getting that extra work today. He knows the opportunity that he missed on Saturday because that's how you get more playing time.
Yes.
You get a chance to make plays.
And that's how you make
the other
May look
player
good.
that I saw coming in last out of practice today was Master Teague.
Number 33, ladies and gentlemen.
To see those guys who were obviously both young guys getting some key reps, and Master Teague has sort of blown up now, and as far as Ohio State fans wondering who the heck this guy is. Yeah. To see him out here, it's a hot day in Columbus right now, and to see him being the last guy, I mean, I'm talking 25, 30 minutes after everyone else came in, he was still in pads and finishing up his work.
If you saw my tweet, I called Josh Proctor the last guy on the practice field. That actually wasn't true. I can't correct the record. There's no edit button. Master Teague was the last one. So last defensive player on the field. Yeah. And I know that Tim's been excited about Josh Proctor for a while.
I just think sooner or later this year you're going to see the explosion. I mean, you saw it in the first game, really. I mean, a hint of what's coming. But there are a lot of guys playing really well right now, the least of which is Jordan Fuller. Yep. But when Jeffrey Okudah came all the way across and still almost tackled a tight end going into the end zone on the one play that Indiana snookered Ohio State on the other day, and I was going to point out while Bermanology was talking a while ago, I was waiting for him to get done with his point, but you jumped in there. What that play was indicative of, though, was teams are scouting this defense now because they took advantage of the fact that Tyreek Smith, who was in there for Chase Young, dropped out into coverage for a wide screen. It ended up being a wide screen. No, it wasn't a wide screen. It was a throwback to the receiver who threw the ball downfield to a wide open tight end. So now this defense has to be wary that people are catching up to their run to the ball aspect.
And I think that they will. You look at what Greg Madison and Jeff Hafley are doing.
Washington even said, I mean, you learn from that when you move on.
Well, they've been so base in their scheme, vanilla with their approach. Eventually, they're going to get more elaborate. But let's talk about the offense a little bit. I chased Justin Fields into the hallway yesterday to ask this question because people were, you look at Saturday, where did he miss? He missed high. So I used that sports analogy, Tim. I said, my miss in the golf swing, if I miss, it's going left. Mm-hmm. That's just where it is. I said, is your miss high?
My miss is all over the place, but go ahead now.
He said no. I mean, he doesn't feel like that his mechanics lend it to going high. It was just a one-day sort of thing. The footwork wasn't perfect, and he had a couple that were in different arm angles, and he just sort of made the point that he didn't have to say it, but he was hinting that he's just in his third start.
Right.
He saw a little bit of pressure. He hasn't got a ton of reps on some of these throws.
Imagine this: you're a starting pitcher in major leagues, and you're a little bit high on your first because you're dropping your elbow and
you shouldn't be pitching if you're high.
I used to, but you know what I'm saying.
Boy.
Maybe in Colorado. Let's say they're playing in Colorado.
Right.
But I mean, the old thing I used to help coach a little, our travel team. Yeah. You drop your elbow, the ball's going to go right. But here's the thing, and then people are ripping him on his footwork. Well, his footwork wasn't here, and he wasn't whatever. Okay, you can go out to the pitching mound and tell that guy A, B, C, and D. In football, you're trying to do all this while these 300-pound, 250-pound hog mollies are coming after you, trying to hit you as hard as they can and knock you out of the game. I mean, I think you're seeing his confidence grow from week to week in what he sees in the offense, what he's seeing on the defensive side. There are going to be days when Tom Brady is inaccurate. Right. I mean, but the thing was, I thought he got his act together for the most part as that day went on the other day. I'm talking about Justin Fields.
Well, people demand perfection out of everything that happens at Ohio State.
And with the replay now.
Right. I mean, you can watch it over and over, and I think if you do watch it over and over, you do see what Justin was saying, which was there were times when he was throwing from a weird arm angle. He's on the move. He's got Chris Olave running across the middle of the field, and he's stepping one way and throwing. And it's not ideal if you're a quarterback to be throwing on the run and throwing from down by your waist. I mean, he's a guy that is going to be better if he's standing in the pocket and is able to take his three-step drop and fire, and that's what he's done. You saw the touchdown, the first touchdown to Olave. It was a perfectly thrown ball. I mean, you could not ask for a better ball, and that's because he had time to set and throw and unload. And when he does
even
that,
the second one to Olave kind of got hung up with the defender. He still might have run under that one. You know, I mean, there's something to be said for throwing a ball out there that can either be caught by your guy or nobody.
And I guess to Birm's point, the comparison he made was that, Aaron Rodgers is sort of the king of that off-platform throw. That's what he pointed to. Yeah. Some of the quarterbacks coaches that he's worked with, Quincy Avery, that's their big thing. And Dwayne Haskins did this too. Like when things are not perfect, being able to make that throw. And yes, he missed some against Indiana, but he also came back and made a really good one that's sort of underrated, I think, the second touchdown to Dobbins.
Yeah.
That was a tight window on the move, going to his right. I mean, the guy, I don't know how you really complain about it, but...
Well, Dobbins either caught that or the ball was going to have to be removed from his shirt because it was in there.
All right, what else did you learn, Tim, this week as we wind it down here on the practice report?
I learned that the offensive line is getting more and more confidence as it goes. We expect this line to be, a lot of people were questioning when we were talking about whether they could be as good or better than last year's. I think we're seeing it right in front, come to fruition, right in front of your eyes. I'm really... extremely impressed by the rise of the tight end group. I know we had a few of them out here to talk today, but I mean, Jeremy Ruckert had a key block on Master Teague III's 40-yard touchdown run, and he's the only one of the tight ends I think that didn't grade a champion. So they're getting the grading's pretty tough there in Kevin Wilson's room, but that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a team that's only scratching the surface of ways it can go offensively.
Birm?
Yeah, I mean, the thing all week that we've heard is have to still improve. Ohio State, obviously, and we talked about it after the game in Bloomington, it was about as good a game as you could ask for this Ohio State team to play. And every single guy we talked to a man was they have to get better. It's not enough. And they know that because they've had these runs in the last few years where you start the season feeling invincible, and then all of a sudden you crap your pants, essentially.
Wow, I didn't know you could say that on a Buyers Auto sponsored show, but I'm
it's after dark here.
I totally understand your graphic.
I think that
what an interesting practice.
You certainly cannot have that happen again, and they know what's at stake, and there is no chance that there's going to be complacency setting in here.
This team, my overall take from Saturday, I agree with Urban Meyer. They were dominating both sides of the line of scrimmage and playing at another level on the special teams. When you do that, you've got a chance against anybody, and I'm talking about 1, 2, 3, not necessarily just people in the Big Ten.
Yep, you're absolutely right about that. Probably going to continue. I would wager on Saturday against Miami of Ohio. Lettermen Row, of course, will have full coverage of that the next couple days leading up to it, and obviously on Saturday at the Horseshoe, we will be there at 3:30. That's Tim May. This is Birm. I'm Austin Ward. This has been the Practice Report brought to you by Buyers Auto.